everything you thought you knew about ancient Egypt, the pyramids, the pharaohs, the great empires, was only half the story. Beneath the surface of history's most iconic civilization lies a tale of power, betrayal, and lost secrets, hidden for millennia. From the mighty reign of Narmer, who unified Upper and Lower Egypt, to the grandeur of Ramses II, one of Egypt's most celebrated pharaohs, Egypt has long been a land of unimaginable wealth and influence. Yet, even as these rulers amassed treasures beyond measure, their empire was also marked by wars, rebellions, and insurmountable challenges.
ما كنتش فاكر إنه هيوصل لدرجة دي. المال والسلطة مبقوا.
The rise of the new kingdom brought glory, but the fall of the old kingdom plunged Egypt into chaos and fragmentation. The bustling markets of Thebes once teemed with traders from across the world, while Egypt's mighty military fought invasions from the Hyksos, the Assyrians, and the Persians. But what caused the mysterious decline of Egypt? Was it conquest, internal corruption, or something more sinister? Conspiracy theories have emerged, suggesting that hidden forces within the elite brought about the collapse. In this documentary, we peel back the layers of history to reveal the untold truths about Egypt's triumphs, its darkest secrets, and its ultimate demise. The past may not be as straightforward as we've been told. The journey begins around 3100 BCE, in a time when the world was still young and the ancient lands of Egypt were divided. The kingdom, split into two powerful regions, Upper Egypt to the south and Lower Egypt to the north, was on the brink of transformation. It was the rise of a singular, enigmatic figure that would change the course of history forever, Narmer. Narmer's name is still whispered in the annals of time, not only because of his triumph on the battlefield, but because he stands at the crossroads of myth and history. As the first pharaoh to unite the fragmented lands of Egypt, Narmer's story is a tale of unimaginable ambition, military genius, and a vision that stretched far beyond his time. Yet, was his unification of Upper and Lower Egypt merely the result of battlefield victories, or was there a deeper strategy at play? The battle for Egypt's future was not fought in a single day, nor was it won through the sheer force of military might alone. Narmer's forces swept through the southern lands of Lower Egypt with ferocity and precision, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. His military prowess, his strategies, and his ruthlessness were unparalleled. Yet, behind the bloodshed and the battle cries, there was something more profound that would lay the foundation for Egypt's greatness. When Narmer stood victorious over his rivals, he didn't just claim the lands he had conquered, he claimed the throne of a new world, one where power and authority were no longer divided. The unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under one ruler marked the birth of one of the most enduring civilizations in human history. Narmer's name would echo across the centuries, forever etched into the stone of Egypt's ancient temples. But there is more to the tale than a simple military conquest. In fact, modern research has turned the traditional narrative of Narmer's rise upside down. While the grandeur of his victories has long been celebrated, new discoveries raise the question, was Narmer's conquest truly as straightforward as it seemed?
النصر مش دايما بيجي بالدم لكن بالسكوت والظل.
Did he conquer Egypt with an iron fist, or did he use more subtle and perhaps more dangerous methods to achieve his goals? The double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, worn proudly by Narmer, has long been considered the ultimate symbol of his unification. It was a powerful statement, both a political and religious declaration that Narmer was the sole ruler of all Egypt. Yet, the question remains, was this an act of military dominance, or was it part of a larger, more intricate political maneuver? Evidence suggests that Narmer may have forged alliances with powerful families and tribes across Egypt, aligning them through strategic marriages, diplomacy, and shared interests, long before the first sword was ever raised. In recent decades, archaeologists have uncovered artifacts that challenge the traditional view of Narmer's reign. The famous Narmer palette, which depicts his victory over Lower Egypt and the symbolic crushing of his enemies, has often been interpreted as a clear depiction of military conquest. But new readings suggest that the palette may also be hinting at the intricate web of diplomacy that Narmer wove in order to solidify his control. Perhaps it was not just a matter of battlefield victories, but the strategic consolidation of power through alliances and influence. What if Narmer, the warrior king, was also a master of political subterfuge? What if he understood the power of persuasion, of uniting disparate factions under a single banner, not through the sword alone, but through the promise of a united, prosperous future? Some researchers believe that the physical conquest of Lower Egypt may have been a mere formality, a public spectacle to reinforce the legitimacy of Narmer's reign. Behind the scenes, however, it is likely that a network of alliances was already in place, ensuring the smooth transition from rivalry to unity. What further complicates this story is the notion of unification itself. Was Egypt truly divided, or were the two regions merely distinct, with their own leaders, cultures, and customs? Recent studies suggest that the differences between Upper and Lower Egypt were less about deep division and more about regional autonomy. Narmer's rise, therefore, might not have been about conquering a land in rebellion, but rather about asserting a vision of central authority, a vision that would transform Egypt into one of the world's earliest centralized states. Narmer's true genius lay in his understanding of the power of symbols. The unification of Egypt was not merely about holding land or defeating enemies. It was about crafting a new identity for the Egyptian people. The symbolism of the double crown was more than a personal victory. It was a declaration of Egypt's new era, an era that would forever link the pharaoh to the land and the people themselves. But even with the grandeur of his successes, Narmer's reign was not without its complications. The very nature of his unification left lingering questions that would challenge those who came after him. Was his rule truly one of harmony? Or was it a delicate balance held together by fragile alliances, with undercurrents of resistance bubbling beneath the surface? The truth lies buried in the sands of time, hidden in ancient records that have only begun to reveal their secrets. What we know for sure is this: Narmer's victory was not merely a conquest. It was a revolution, one that altered the course of history, laying the foundations for one of the most powerful and enduring civilizations the world would ever know. The question remains, how much of Narmer's legacy is written in the blood of battle, and how much of it was shaped by the delicate art of politics? And so, as the dust settles on the battlefield and the Nile continues to flow, the mystery of Narmer's unification endures. His story is a testament to the complexities of power, the ambiguities of conquest, and the timeless pursuit of a unified kingdom, a pursuit that would echo through the halls of Egypt's pharaohs for millennia to come. For the next millennia, Egypt would be defined by monumental feats of architecture, none more famous than the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 BCE, was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. It was the pinnacle of human achievement at the time, a testament to the power, resources, and ingenuity of ancient Egypt. The pyramid, a vast, geometric marvel, stands as the most enduring symbol of Egypt's ancient civilization. These colossal tombs were not mere structures of stone, but symbols of supernatural power, a reflection of the unyielding belief in life after death. Built to honor their gods and pharaohs, the pyramids served as both royal mausoleums and sacred gateways to the afterlife. Each pyramid was a vision of eternity, designed to ensure that the king's soul would ascend to the heavens and join the gods, securing his eternal reign in the afterlife. But what is most astounding is the scale and precision with which these monumental structures were created. The largest of them all, the Great Pyramid, originally stood at 481 feet high, a towering marvel of craftsmanship that loomed above the surrounding desert. Built with millions of limestone blocks, each weighing between 2.5 and 15 tons, the Great Pyramid's construction was a feat of unimaginable scale. It is said that over 2.3 million blocks were used in the construction of this singular pyramid. Imagine the challenge of lifting and transporting these massive stones, with no modern machinery, no cranes, and no sophisticated tools. The workers who constructed the pyramids were not primarily slaves, as once thought, but skilled laborers and craftsmen who were highly respected for their expertise. It is believed that the workforce consisted of thousands of laborers, artisans, engineers, architects, and some slaves working in well-organized teams. They lived in nearby workers' villages, as evidenced by archaeological excavations. These villages, once thought to be simple, temporary encampments, have revealed themselves to be sophisticated settlements, complete with bakeries, workshops, and burial sites for the workers. The laborers would often work in shifts, driven by the promise of food, shelter, and the afterlife. But how did these workers achieve such an extraordinary feat? The methods behind the construction of the pyramids remain a subject of heated debate among archaeologists, engineers, and historians. Was it sheer labor alone that created these marvels? Or did ancient Egyptians possess technologies or techniques we have yet to understand? While modern engineers suggest ramps, levers, and pulley systems, the true methods have been lost to time, leaving us with only theories and speculations. For centuries, scholars have speculated on the methods used to transport and lift the massive stones into place. One of the most widely accepted theories is the use of ramps. There are various suggestions about the type of ramp that might have been employed, but none have been definitively proven. Some propose a straight, long ramp that spiraled around the pyramid as it was being built, while others suggest a zigzagging, switchback system that led up the sides. The blocks would have been dragged or pushed up these ramps, with workers using sledges, ropes, and manpower to move them. To lift these stones into place, levers could have been employed to raise each block incrementally. Another theory involves the use of a counterweight system, where large stones or sandbags were used to lift the massive blocks, using the principles of leverage. These methods would have been immensely difficult and time-consuming, yet the precision of the final product suggests that these workers were highly skilled in mathematics, engineering, and organization. The pyramid's true alignment with the cardinal points, its near-perfect symmetry, and the careful leveling of its massive base all hint at a knowledge of astronomy and geometry far beyond what might have been expected of a society without modern tools. One of the most fascinating aspects of the pyramid's construction is the fact that the Egyptians were able to achieve such a high degree of precision without the aid of modern technology. The Great Pyramid was constructed with such accuracy that, even today, its base remains level to within just a few millimeters. The placement of each stone, the angles of the walls, and the positioning of the pyramid relative to the stars all demonstrate an extraordinary understanding of engineering and mathematics. It is this level of sophistication that continues to astound scientists and historians alike. Despite the ingenuity involved, questions about the true methods of construction still linger. Did the Egyptians have advanced technology that we have yet to uncover? Some suggest that they may have used a form of ancient knowledge that has been lost to time, knowledge that might have allowed them to manipulate stone in ways we still cannot replicate. There are even fringe theories that posit the use of sound waves or other unknown techniques to aid in the lifting and transportation of the stones, but such ideas remain speculative at best. There is also the question of the workforce. How were thousands of workers, many of whom were not slaves, coordinated over the span of decades to construct these monumental structures? Some suggest that the pyramid projects were a form of state-sponsored labor, where workers were conscripted during the off-season of farming, when the Nile's annual flooding rendered their fields unworkable. Others argue that the laborers were professionals, employed year-round on these grand projects as part of a well-organized guild system. Either way, the scale of the operation required extraordinary logistical planning, not only to provide food, shelter, and tools for the workers, but to ensure the continuous flow of materials from the quarries to the construction site. The quarries themselves, located near Giza, were sources of immense labor. The limestone blocks used for the outer casing of the pyramid were cut from nearby quarries, while the inner core was often made of harder, more durable granite, brought from as far away as Aswan. The granite blocks, some weighing over 50 tons, required special tools and techniques to cut, and their transportation must have been an immense challenge. Recent discoveries of ancient tools and evidence of quarrying techniques have shed some light on the process, but much about the quarries remains shrouded in mystery. As we look at the pyramids today, their sheer scale and precision leave us in awe, a reminder of Egypt's powerful legacy. The pyramids stand not just as monuments to the pharaohs, but as an enduring testament to the knowledge, ambition, and creativity of the ancient Egyptians. Their construction remains one of the greatest mysteries in human history, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of a civilization that sought to leave a lasting mark on the world, a mark that still stands, towering above the sands of time. And though the methods remain elusive, the pyramids themselves continue to speak to us across millennia. They stand as a link that transcends time, as enduring as the stones that built them. Egypt is numbered among the countries with the 7 wonders of the world, thanks to the civilization that built the pyramids. As Egypt entered the zenith of its power during the New Kingdom, it was not just the might of its armies or the splendor of its temples that set the civilization apart. It was its bustling, thriving economy. At the heart of this economic engine was the city of Thebes, which, by the 18th dynasty, had evolved into one of the most important urban centers in the ancient world. The city was more than just the political and religious capital of Egypt. It was a vibrant marketplace where goods, cultures, and ideas from across the ancient world converged. The marketplaces of Thebes were a vivid reflection of Egypt's new status as a global superpower. Here, traders from distant lands, Mesopotamia, Nubia, Punt, and even the Mediterranean islands, could be seen haggling with Egyptian merchants. Exotic spices, colorful textiles, intricate jewelry, and precious metals from far-off lands filled the air with their distinct smells and sights. Animal skins, perfumes, ivory carvings, and rare animals were common commodities. The city was not only a center of trade, but also an intellectual hub where ideas about art, science, and religion circulated freely, transforming Egypt into a melting pot of cultures. At the heart of the economic boom was the Nile River itself. The fertile banks of the river provided Egypt with its lifeblood, yielding abundant crops such as wheat, barley, and flax. The river's annual floods enriched the soil, making it possible for Egypt to produce surplus food that could feed not just the Egyptian people, but also the traders who came from foreign lands to buy it. Egypt's farmers, though often living on the margins of wealth, were crucial to the empire's success. They toiled on the land, producing the grain that Egypt exported to its neighbors. The wealth from agriculture fed into the larger economic structure of Egypt, supporting the powerful elite and the ever-expanding military forces. Egypt's economy was also fueled by its vast deposits of gold, which were extracted from the mines in the eastern desert. Gold was not only a symbol of divine power, a representation of the god's favor, but also a highly coveted resource in international trade. In exchange for their gold, Egyptians received luxury items, such as fine glassware, aromatic oils, and exotic gemstones. The wealth of the pharaohs was built on this exchange, as they controlled the access to these precious resources. Yet, as the riches flowed into the hands of a few, the society behind this affluence was one of stark contrast. While Thebes was a symbol of wealth and prosperity, its opulence hid deep divisions within Egyptian society. At the top were the pharaohs, powerful priests and nobles, who lived in palatial homes decorated with the finest goods. Below them, a vast population of laborers, farmers, and slaves worked tirelessly to maintain the empire's dominance. These lower classes were essential to Egypt's economy. Egypt's system of forced labor was extensive, feeding into both the construction of grand architectural wonders and the extraction of resources that fueled Egypt's economic engine. The laborers who worked on the monumental temples, tombs, and other projects were often not free citizens, but slaves or captives from Egypt's military campaigns. In the bustling marketplaces, however, the presence of such forced labor was often invisible. Slaves were present in every facet of life. They worked in the homes of the elite, in the fields, and in the mines, extracting gold and other precious materials. While Egypt's ruling class enjoyed lavish lifestyles, those who built the nation's grandeur lived in harsh conditions. Forced labor was not limited to the construction of monumental works, tombs, temples, and palaces, but also included the labor-intensive processes of resource extraction and agriculture. Yet, for all their toil, these workers received little in return. It was the wealth accumulated from their labor that filled the coffers of the pharaohs, allowing them to commission vast constructions and maintain their armies, further consolidating their power. Despite this system of exploitation, the marketplace was where both the high and the low could come together in a space where trade and barter occurred. The merchant class, for example, occupied a middle ground in society. While they were far removed from the power of the elite, they were still critical to Egypt's economy. They were the ones who brought in goods from faraway lands, luxury items that were prized by the nobility. These traders also had significant political influence, as their business ventures tied them to the pharaoh's court, and they were often granted favor for their contributions to the state. In the end, the golden glow of Thebes was never meant to last. The markets quieted, the statues weathered, the mighty pharaohs turned to dust. But what remains, etched in stone and memory, is a civilization that dreamed bigger than its time. Egypt's greatness was built on ambition and artistry, trade and toil, glory and grief. It stood as a beacon of what humanity could achieve, while serving as a warning of what it might forget. Today, as we walk among the remnants of that empire, we are reminded that history is not just about triumphs. It is about those who built the triumphs, often unseen. It is about power and the price it demands. And it is about the enduring legacy of a people whose voices still echo across the sands of time. This was Egypt, glorious, complex, enduring. A land shaped by its people and remembered by what they left behind.